Welcome to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast, the show for women who are seeking more fulfillment in life and simply not getting it from their current situation. We focus specifically on careers, but hey, we spend a lot of time in our careers, so making changes here will definitely create an impact in your overall happiness. I'm your host, Simone Morris, and my mission is to empower women to succeed. I believe that in order to powerfully own your career, you must decide and claim that you want to sit in the driver's seat. You must know that you deserve better and be willing to not only do the requisite work, but be willing to go out on a limb to ensure your success. Each episode focuses on profiling a leader who is clearly demonstrating ownership of their career. Join me and my guests as we explore career journeys and bring you actionable strategies to use to get into the driver's seat for your career. Because ultimately, your career is your responsibility. Let's get into the show. Hi, everyone. Just want to say thanks for being a loyal listener for the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. I am so pleased to have you listening and learning from the experts that we bring onto the show. This week, we have a wonderful guest as well. But before we get to the guest, just want to check in and say, hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. If you are in the United States and observing that holiday. I know most of our listeners are in the United States. The top 3 locations listening to the podcast is the United States, then Australia, and then Canada. So did want to just do a shout out for Memorial Day weekend. It was wonderful weather in the Northeast and a much needed break. So I am thankful and feeling refreshed. I know this week is a busy week in the world of Simone Morris Enterprises as well. We have coming up an opportunity to give back to the community, and that is through doing the Cancer Walk and Run in Norwalk, Connecticut on June 1st. So that kicks off June with a bang. Looking forward to celebrating with other companies and just doing something special for a wonderful cause. So that is our big focus for this week. But if you follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is, if you follow the Simone Morris Enterprises brand, you will see that we've got the June calendar of events up and that there's lots going on this month, but check it out. So without further ado, let's jump into this week's podcast. Welcome to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. I am so pleased today to be joined by Vicki Hamilton. She is the CEO of VWH Consulting. She's an author. She's a speaker. Vicki, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, and I'm honored to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with your phenomenal audience.
Oh, thank you so much. So tell us a bit more about who you are and what you're currently doing.
First of all, the most important is I'm a wife, a mother, a sister, an aunt, and a Glamma Vivi.
Oh, say that again.
A trusted friend.
Can you say that last part again?
Glamma Vivi.
Glamma Vivi. Wow.
Yes, my son and his wife gave me a precious grandson, Armando, and he'll be 8 months old on Friday. I'm so excited. He's my bundle of joy.
Oh.
That's what I'm most proud of.
We can hear it.
Well, professionally, in my previous roles, I have held many executive level positions within technology. Mostly for the last 17 years, it was in media and entertainment. Companies such as Turner Broadcasting and the Weather Channel. And we all know Turner is now merging with AT&T and changing names eventually, in terms of Warner Media, et cetera. But I was very much involved in their senior leadership years ago. And then after a reorganization, and it was during the recession time, I then began to start my own business, my own consulting business. And I cannot believe that I've been in business for almost 9 years. Wow, how time flies.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So one of the things that, as I began my business, is I was sitting down and thinking about what is it that I really want to do? What do I want to give? And what do I want to show? So not only am I an author and a speaker, I'm also a strategist and a change agent and a coach. And my enterprise of my organization really focuses on being a thought partner around organizational change management. And one of the areas of specialty is around the multi-generational diversity leadership. For the first time, as we all know, you could have up to a possibility of 4 generations in the workplace at any given time. So every generation comes in with its new, I'll say, attributes for that generation, with expectations of how they communicate, what they're thinking about in terms of authority, etc. And I help leaders to understand how to lead better so that we ensure that we are maximizing all of the talents of the resources within an organization.
That's a lot. Wow. That's awesome. So tell us then, from all that experience, what was the career-defining moment, Vicki, that signified to you that you were in the driver's seat for your career?
Well, that's an interesting question, because when I think about the driver's seat of my career, one of the things that I grew up with, and I have to credit my mother for this, is that work your passion. If you work your passion, it's not a job. And I have never, ever had a job. I have always been paid to have fun. Now, that doesn't mean that there weren't rocky roads, doesn't mean every day was rosy. But what it meant is that I had the tenacity, the desire, and the want to work through those challenging times that I was experiencing, because I was working in something that I was very passionate about. It's kind of like a marriage, right? You get involved in a marriage and you do the give and take kind of thing, but you're in it, but because you love each other, you work through the relationship. So that was the foundation. After that, I'd have to say that the opportunity always came that I was a continuous learner. Mm-hmm. And I found that being a continuous learner allowed me the ability to understand what was needed in business, what the market was defining, what functional areas I had expertise in, and how I could add talent to it. So therefore, I could always be in the driver's seat. And if I wasn't happy, go find another opportunity. So I think it was the foundation of what I was given that I was so blessed with, to be able to understand, work your passion. And what is that passion? What makes you get up in the morning and say, I can do this and not get paid?
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds like you've had a wonderful career. Can you tell us what the formula for successfully owning your career is?
Yes, I can. And one of the things I will say is that being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart. Because the thing is that having your own career means that you have to have the tenacity and the drive to work for yourself, to understand somebody pays your paycheck. And although you're on your own, you're still working on other people's time schedules. You are still working underneath their strategy, their direction, and what they want to do. And you still have to do what? Fit in. Whatever that fit in may be for that potential client that you're working for. So I say, understand your target of who you want to go for. And guess what? You can say no. That's the flexibility you have. You don't have to work for everybody. Number 2, have your business plan all together as to what you want to do. Just as a company has strategy and has goals that they want to complete every year, you have to do the same thing. You need to refresh yours. Sometimes you have to do a rebranding in a company. You may have to rebrand as a company. There's nothing that an organization goes through in terms of their cycles that you can't be willing to go through on your own. The difference is you're more nimble. The third thing is, starting your own business really means you have to have funds to the side. You have to prepare for that 60-day time period of getting that check, or 90 days, or whatever it may be. You have to prepare for the sales cycle and the long sales cycle that are happening when you may or may not have income coming in the door. So financial preparation is critical. And the bottom line is, you may not ever have enough. You may not ever have enough money in that bank account. You think you do. Oh, I got a year saved up. I'm good. So what you have to do is continue to do little things that are going to prosper your business and take you forward, that are going to bring in some dollars during that time. May not be as much as you want, but to continue to make that happen. And make sure that your strategy for marketing, for sales, and for doing are all intact. And the last thing I'll say is, don't be afraid to partner. It's better to have a piece of the pie than none of the pie. And sometimes you might have to go in under somebody else's paper, and sometimes they may have to come in under yours. But partnerships is what makes it work, because guess what? You can look bigger when you're a partner, right? It's not just a person of one or two. If I partner with another entrepreneur that has 3 or 4 on their team, I now look bigger, and I'm now not such a small organization that companies may be willing to take the risk at, because it is risk for them.
Well, since that was so well said, and I could so relate from being on both sides as an employee and as an entrepreneur. I mean, you just hit the nail right on the head with what you said, that you go through the same things as an entrepreneur, but that you're just more nimble. I love that. It's so, so true, and so much wisdom with all the steps that you have to take here. Since you went into risk, talk to us about how important taking risk have been to your journey.
So I will tell you, my whole career has been based on calculated risk. I have never occupied a job that anybody ever occupied before. And that was critical. And I'll tell you, I'm a creator. I'm a builder. But it's important to understand what drives you. Are you a creator and builder? Are you a maintainer? Or are you an enhancer? Someone who maintains, I just want routine, status quo, I'm good. I'm not looking to create anything. An enhancer says something was there, but I can make it a little better. A creator and a builder says, I want to start it from scratch. So my entire career, I have been in positions where I've been a builder and a creator, and I started it from scratch. I've been promoted every 2 years my entire career, until the time that I left and started on my own. So my risk was always calculated. If I'm going to go into this new role, I would always ask myself, if it doesn't work out, what am I gaining? And how can I reuse it if it doesn't work out to take the next step, right? What tools am I putting in my toolbox that I can leverage again and make happen? Because as long as I understood that there was something beyond that, something that I could apply, I could take that risk. The second thing is that how stable is the company I'm going to with this risk? Are they invested in this risk? Is this something that they want to see happen? Is this something that they're committed to doing? Once I put all of those components together, then I took the risk. If I didn't see those areas together and they didn't make sense, I did not do a risk. I said, that's not for me. I can't do that right now, because I knew I had a family to feed and all the rest of it, right? So I believe that risk is important, but it needs to be calculated. Don't just go out there and take a risk just to take it. Understand what the implications are for that risk and what those gains are and how you can reapply it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, what advice would you give to someone wanting to successfully own their career?
So I would tell anybody, when you're getting ready to own your career, first you have to own what's inside of you. What makes you happy? Own what it is that you want to do. Don't let anybody else tell you what you're good at and what you can and cannot do. You can do anything that you want to do. But once you define what that is, and you just start going down the trajectory and the journey of your career and working in that direction, I think there's several components that make you successful. Number one, you need to have a board of directors. A board of directors are those people who are going to be honest with you, but they want to see you grow and develop. Your board of directors does not need to all look like you. and do not need to be all your same sex. The more diverse you have a board of directors, the more people you have on the board of directors in terms of capabilities that can help you in the journey you want to go in, the more successful you're going to be. And understand that their honesty is great feedback. It's a gift.
Can I stop you there before you go to the second one and just ask you to differentiate between having a board of directors as an employee versus a board of directors as an entrepreneur and your experience with that?
Sure. So my board of directors that I have always had, regardless of whether I was an employee or an entrepreneur, were people that were either in the functional area inside, it might be within the industry, or people outside of the industry that could give me what I needed. It's kind of like looking for a mentor. When you look for mentors, no one mentor can give you everything you need. You should have a portfolio of mentors that you're going to for different things that are giving you what you need in terms of adding those capabilities and competencies to your toolbox, right? So when you look at a board of directors in a company, irrespective to whether you're working for them or working for yourself, who are those people that are around me, that understand my functional capabilities, understand me, understand my passions and what I can do, and those things that I can't do, those things that I'm not good at, and helping me to be a better individual in terms of delivering the most that I can deliver to any organization, whether it's for a company or an individual. So I believe those board of directors are the same. It does not have to be different. Okay. Now, board of directors is very different than having sponsors, okay? Because a sponsor, and when you're looking at sponsorships, you definitely want people who can sponsor you inside of the company in terms of that next opportunity, that upward growth, looking for giving you special projects, that recognition, etc. And you may or may not know who these sponsors are. They're the ones that are sitting at the table when the doors are closed, right? They're the ones that can speak on your behalf. So what's a sponsor when you're an entrepreneur? It's the champion that's inside of the organization that believes in you as a vendor and the things that you can offer to them when they outsource, because they had the experience. They know who you are. They believe in the capabilities that you've done because they've seen it. Therefore, they go behind those closed doors and advocate for you to be able to come in to help them. So it's a different kind. It's still a person at the table and the doors are still closed, but it's a different kind of sponsorship as opposed to upward growth and mobility and different opportunities. It's someone inviting you inside of their home, that building.
I love that.
Business.
I love that. Thank you for the clarification. So number 2. You were going to
the second thing that I think that you have to do when you're really owning your career is that you need to be involved in associations and organizations that are paramount to your functional capabilities, right? Because that's how you keep your name out there. That's how people get to know what you're good at. That's how people can then help you if you're ever in a time of need of looking for another opportunity. Right? And that's why people's phones ring off the hook. When those recruiters and executive search firms are calling and saying, I'd like to talk to you about this opportunity. And you're like, well, I wasn't looking. I wasn't trying to find an opportunity. But guess what? Your name is out there because you've been involved. And that also goes back to community work and giving back to your community. So I think that being able to define your career and know those associations that you need to be in as well. The third thing is as I told you, I truly believe that when you're defining your career and moving forward, you really have to find out what's inside of you, right? And what that passion is and being able to move that forward. And don't let other things get in your way. And continuous learning, that continuous learning of being able to grow and develop. Never stop reading, never stop educating. And when you begin to mentor others, always give back. And I don't care if you've been in the company 5 years. People say, well, I can't mentor anybody. I just got here. There's always somebody coming in the door that had less than what you had. So you can always give back. And remember, your mentors can be your biggest advocates. I will tell you as an entrepreneur and a seasoned entrepreneur, my mentees have helped me more than I can even imagine, because I was there to help them in their career. Now they're in decision-making power, and now they're in positions that can help. They come back to me. They come back to me and say, look, I need you to come and help me do this.
That's wonderful. What a great story. I love that. Awesome. What resources, Vicki, have helped you in terms of navigating your career? So whether it's online or otherwise.
So I will tell you that when it comes to reading, I read a lot of the Harvard Business Review. I read books that are about the latest trends that are happening in the industry that I'm in. So when I was in media and entertainment, really keeping up with the cable news and what was happening in the entertainment business and things like that, because I wanted to stay up with those functional areas. Those resources have been valuable to me. Now today, we have more information and data than we have ever had before. And you can spend 24 hours a day just reading and staying up on it. So what I try to do is to focus in particular areas in my growth and learning as to what I want to do and what I am trying to gain knowledge and information about. And I look at YouTubes, I listen to podcasts, I look at research that's come out about a particular area. So every day, there's a certain amount of my time portfolio, if you will, that is dedicated to how am I enriching myself? Where am I growing and where am I learning? Right? And so that's where I go to look at how I spend my time in terms of moving forward.
Wonderful, wonderful. You've given us such valuable nuggets, Vicki. I've learned a lot in this interview as well. I think one of the things I did not ask you, and let me ask you this, can you think of a moment in your career that you avoided responsibility?
Responsibility?
No, avoided responsibility.
Oh, avoided responsibility. Yes, I can. I was in a company that I won't name, but I was in a company and I had an opportunity to take on a new role. And just like I talked to you about that risk, I could read the tea leaves, and I knew that from everything I could see that the company was not as best invested in this particular role, and that they were trying something out, but it would be a scapegoat if it did not work. And because I knew enough to see that this is not really, it's one thing if they put some effort behind it and you could see the leadership and the strategy and the goals to support it, that wasn't there. So I avoided that additional responsibility, even though it was asked if I wanted it. I said no.
Awesome. And I think that goes back to what you were saying, that we have the right to say no.
That's right. That's exactly right.
As drivers,
we all have that right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, again, this has been so wonderful and inspiring, and I know our listeners are going to get so much value from all your wonderful wisdom. Tell our listeners how they can connect with you.
I'd be happy to. Feel free to contact me at VickiWright-Hamilton.com. Let me spell that for you. It's VickiWright-HAM as in Mary, ILTON.com. And I look forward to speaking to many of your listeners personally and having an opportunity to connect with them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I know there's going to be a lot of value from this interview. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again. And I just want to say that the name of my book is called Game Face. And if you're looking for the inside of someone's life through leadership, both personally and professionally, with some business nuggets to go with it, I invite you to get a copy of the book, and you can get it off of my website or on Amazon.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. It is my hope that you enjoyed today's episode. You can check out the show notes for this episode on the SimoneMorrisEnterprises.org website, by clicking the podcast menu. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and tell a friend or two about it.